If you're here, that probably means you haven't found the right girlfriend for you. There's so many people out there, but you just can't seem to find the one. Or maybe you just can't get a girlfriend at all. No matter the circumstance, I'm going to be showing you how to use 3 AI websites to create your own custom girlfriend. Now, this is a follow-up to the previous video that I made on these 3 websites, so if you haven't seen that, definitely go check that out. But a lot of you were asking how to create your own custom girlfriend instead of using some of the ones that were pre-made on these websites. Now, I'm going to be covering the same 3 websites as I did before, so no matter which one you decided to end up using, I got you covered. So let's start off with Charater.ai. Now, when you're on the home screen after logging in, you're going to want to go up to Create here. Click on that, and it's going to ask you if you want to create a character or a room. We're going to do a character. Now, you'll be presented with this screen that gives you some basic information of like, hey, you could input this and this, but we want to actually edit more details. So we just click the advanced edit button, and then we'll be here on this create character screen. Now, for our character, I asked ChatGPT to create a character, and on each 3 of these sites, I'm going to be demonstrating the same character and what it looks like on each different site for the same details. And I'll leave the prompt that I used to generate this character down in the description below. So if you want to use ChatGPT to generate your own, you can use that. So the character name we're going to be using today is Maddie Clark. Now, this site does not require an avatar picture, but you can include one if you'd like. Or it looks like you can generate an image using AI. But I just found this image on the internet, so I'm just going to use this for demonstration purposes. Now it's going to ask you for a greeting, so you just input a greeting that you want her to say at the start of any chat, and then you input a short description of what they would describe themselves as. Now this is basically as long as you can get it. Yeah, it can't go any further than 1 extra space. So it is quite short on this short description. Now a long description can be a lot bigger, and then for categories, they don't have like a girlfriend category, so I'm just going to choose anime here. Now you can also pick a voice. This voice hasn't been used for anything in my testing, so I don't know why you have to choose a voice. Now this does have an option for image generation. However, it's very shoddy, and it does generate an image after every single message that they send, so it can give like some cool context, especially if you're doing a more roleplay style. I found that it just wasn't generating good images, and I just didn't like it, so I'm not going to enable that, and I'm going to make this private so that way no one else can see it. And then we just have a little bit more details, so I'm just going to input what ChatGPT gave me. So I'm doing sort of like a background information on this character and then some example dialogue here. And then that's all. We hit save, then you just click on this character up here. And then we're back in this same screen. And then we can see here's our starting greeting. So here's an example conversation that I just had with this bot. And the cool thing about this is you can customize it to however you want. So you can have the perfect girlfriend of your dreams and give it the exact personality that you'd like. This is just a generic personality that ChatGPT generated, but really you can customize it to whatever you want. And I have found that these settings in the background and the example dialogue have been really helpful for letting the AI sort of understand the role it's supposed to be playing. So definitely make sure that you include a lot of information, because the more information you provide, the better it will be able to generate a specific profile for you. So yeah, that was Charater.ai. Now moving on to Charstar, it's a very similar process. When you're on the homepage, you just hit create up here. So step 1 is the about section. Now this has nothing to do with the AI itself. This is just like a description for other people on this site if you choose to make it a public character. And for this one, you do actually have to have an image, so make sure you have an image prepared. Now because this is just for other users on this site, this description is only for them to get an understanding of what this character does. It's not used in creating the character from the AI perspective. Now if you intend to use this AI for not safe for work stuff, make sure you go ahead and click this check mark. And if you do intend to do some of this, make sure you actually include that in the description and the persona, because otherwise the bot's not going to do it. And we're just going to do private again. And for the tags, these are fine. This site has a lot more tags that I feel like are more relevant than the other site. So it has a few extra tags that we can actually do here. So that was the about section. Now moving on to step 2, we have a very similar set of questions. Now, what I like about this site over the other one is that it actually separates the persona versus the example dialogue. In the other one, you had to combine them into both. And in this one, it also allows you to have a scenario. So if you're wanting to do more role play, you have a scenario option, but it is optional, so you don't need to do it. So once we filled out our entire character sheet, we're just going to go ahead and hit submit, and then we can either go home or hit chat. We're just going to hit chat to test it out. So here's some example dialogue to sort of give you an idea of what to expect. Now, it's very similar. Like, I can't exactly tell a difference between the other site and this site, but I think as you keep going, you might notice some differences just slowly after a lot of use. Like I said, I haven't had like hours upon hours of like testing each one. Picking between this one and Charater.ai, I would probably choose this site just because it offers a little bit more customization and I feel like has a more well-rounded kind of interface and set of features. But ultimately, they both do their job and they both work really well, so it's pretty much up to you. Now, finally, we have MyShell. Now, MyShell was the most unique one out of the 3 sites that I had showcased in the other video, and luckily, they do allow you to create your own character. Now, after you are signed in and are on the homepage, you just want to go ahead and click MyShell up here under the Explore tab, and then it'll prompt you to create a robot. Now, this one is a lot trickier to create bots for. This is much more focused around tasks and accomplishing a specific goal. So you have to very clearly tell the bot like, hey, you are going to be taking on the role of this person. Your goal is to, be a great girlfriend or whatever it is, right? It's a lot harder to get a cohesive model on this one than the other two because the other two are just sort of made for that kind of thing. First tab here is like the about section on the other site. It's mostly just for like the online users if you choose to make this public. And they only have 3 tags. So most of the time it's just going to be entertainment. So moving on to definition, this is where it gets a little dicey. There is not a whole lot of wiggle room as far as like what information to give it. Now you can have it auto generate a prompt, but that's going to take some of your energy. So I would recommend just creating your own prompt / using ChatGPT to generate one for you. Now I had to create another ChatGPT prompt. So the other 2, I just used the single prompt, and then this one was a follow-up prompt to let it generate more information. And I will leave that secondary prompt also down in the description below in case you want to use this site. So this is the prompt that I generated. And so it follows sort of a detailed list of what they recommend here. So I just said like, hey, here's this site's recommended guidelines. Please create for this bot. And it, very clearly states, you are here to play the role of this person and content guidelines, response length, blah, blah, blah. And this is really all you're giving the bot. As far as information goes, it's not a whole lot of information compared to the other ones, at least in my opinion. And maybe I'm not prompt master here, and maybe I should be giving it a lot more information. Ultimately, this one's a lot harder to create a good bot for. And then here's just the same intro message. That's the greeting on the other sites. Now moving on to the chat settings, you have some information that you can change. So if you don't want it to generate audio, you can go ahead and turn that off, but I think it's kind of cool, so I'm going to turn it on. And since we're doing the audio input, we do have to select a voice. Now, since we're doing an English model, let's go ahead and choose English, and then we can pick from, various different people. Now, if you actually have your own data set, you can upload your own, and it sort of gives you a guide on how to do that. I don't personally have a data set, so I haven't been able to test this, but you can definitely, try it out and see how it works. But yeah, I found that they have a lot of just good models already. So I'm just going to choose, this one here. Now, this next tab is for apps integration. They have Telegram support and are working on Discord and WhatsApp. Now, I haven't personally tested this, but if you want a specific video on how to get this into apps like Telegram or, maybe the native message app, I could definitely do some looking into that and create a video specific to that. Now, we do have some advanced definition stuff here. But I've found you don't really need to mess with this unless if you're doing some very specific stuff and need some very specific information. But I think if you're doing a basic model, you can probably just leave this blank. And then if you want to give the bot some additional information as far as like having it learn, like the other bots that I showcased in the other video were like English guides. So I'm sure they fed it some like good practices for learning how to speak English or Japanese or whatever it was. You just input the URL and then it'll learn up to, the URL. So that can also be good if you're looking to create a bot that's not just a generic girlfriend and someone who can actually help you accomplish a specific goal. So yeah, that's all of the robot info here. So once you're done, you just click save. And then it'll say, congrats, your bot has been created. And then you can click the chat button. And you can see it starts off with the same prompt. And the voice is here if we want to actually hear it.
Hey love, it's Maddie. How's your day going?
So I just had sort of a generic conversation with it. It goes very similarly to the other bots. So as far as just the bots themselves, they are all very similar, with I think Charstar giving you the most customization as far as like conversations and personality, because MyShell is very specific in how you have to format the creation of the AI. It ends up being a lot more generic unless if you give it a lot of very specific information. But it still ends up being pretty good. So I think the deciding factor should be what site has the features that you want to use the most. So I think that's how you should pick the site that you want to end up using based off of the features that it offers. But with that, you now know how to create your own custom chatbot on all 3 of these websites. If you'd like to learn how to create an AI bot that's not limited to these websites, that can sort of be run locally / maybe being sent to your phone, please let me know down in the comments below and I can look into that and make a video on that as well. And to discover more AI tools like this, check out our website at ai-search.io.